Alright, once upon a time there was this huge sadist that hated everyone. In fact, he was so evil he created the worst thing known to the human race, music theory. Music is good. Music is great. Heck, music is amazing. We can all agree on that, right? It's the one language everyone in the world can understand, regardless of their size, shape, or race. It's one of the things that makes us human. We also all want to play music, right? Creating something that the whole world can enjoy and bond over must be a dream come true. Unfortunately, there's a 3,000-foot hurdle in the way. Music theory. Now, music theory is the, hold on, let me read this. Study of theoretical frameworks for understanding the practices and possibilities of music. I don't know what type of hieroglyphics that was in, but I'll translate. It's science, but music. This is just disgusting. Pythagoras, you're lucky you're dead because you're public enemy number one in my block. I feel like the only reason we still do this was because a bunch of rich guys insisted we needed this for good tunes, but it was really just to keep the peasants away from music because they know money can't buy creativity. Enough waffling, I'll get into why music theory can go drink toilet water. One, it's super hard. Learning music theory is like learning every East Asian language at the same time. You see these letters and you think, it's just the alphabet. How hard can it be? Then you study for more than a quarter of a nanosecond and it gets real quickly. There's intervals and scales and modes. I'm about to transform into my beast mode from this malarkey, arpeggios and all this other nonsense, and you're just wondering why? Who said we needed all this? Why do I have to pay 80 grand to go to Juliet when I can just hum a tune and record it for free? There's obviously more to it, but there shouldn't be this much more to it. Second, it's redundant. I already dipped my feet into this reason at the end of number 1, but it's true. Notes and scales should be the limit, but some bozo invented the rest to torture us, Peyton. And I understand if you want that unique sound that you can only get through tritone substitution, but that understanding should be an extension, not a prerequisite. You can't just say, oh, this sounds good, because 12 limp-wristed nerds will ask,
but why though?
why? Because the VeggieTales are visionaries, okay? What's the point of knowing every key signature if I'm only going to use one each song?
Modulation?
Modulation? You're not making your song better by making your key higher. You see, most of this stuff we can already feel in our song. We don't need math in our music. It sounds good because it is good, not because John Cena sung the melody in Mixolydian when the song was in Phigrian. Thirdly, it's a waste of time. You have a tune in your head, that's staying in your head until you figure out which key you're using, if the key is major or minor, the chords you're using, and the tempo. All of this before you put a note on that stuff. Just because you don't have a cubic centimeter of creativity in your body doesn't mean you have to make me suffer, Phineas. You're making this harder on purpose. You can't argue that we need to know all this stuff to make it good, because we don't. When the slaves were... I'm going to be bad from the cookout. When the slaves sung those spirituals in the plantation, do you think they conversed about what mode this train was going to be in? No, they just went for it, and it still sounded great. If people with no formal education can make good music without any need for theory, why can't we? But no, we have to know if we're using swing 8s or not. Makes me want to get hit by a swing thinking about it. Number 4, it's stifling creativity. It's supposed to help us understand the language of music, but nobody can. And the people who do understand it way too much. Jacob Collier. This guy knows music theory like the back of his hand, and his songs are so technically advanced not even John Lennon could understand them. But they sound like raccoon feces. Just look at his get up to. This is what Zero Game and a million Alfred's Essentials does to a fella's wardrobe. Music is a form of art, not a science. We're supposed to be expressing ourselves from the soul. So how can you claim that theory enhances the process when it turns it into a pragmatic, expedient field which puts perfect pitch before personality? Now, there is imagination and inventiveness in the sciences like math, but most of the time it's just finding the tangent of 38. Only for music theory, it's how the minor third over the dominant 7th chord creates tension. Number 5, it's actually splitting our planet. It's the reason there's at least 4 wars going on right now. Let me turn back time. It's the one language everyone in the world can understand, regardless of their size, shape, or race. Yeah, well, I lied. Because on what planet can everyone understand this? Just how many times do you think a potential McCartney thought, I want to make songs. How do I do that? How can the human race unite as one if we have nothing to unite us as one? It's the reason Kim Jong-un is launching ballistic missiles every other hour. Let me explain further. If you're going to learn all this for some reason, you can technically do it online for as much as internet costs, but the best way to do it is through formal education, which will set you back the GDP of a small country. Therefore, only the rich can know how to music, and we all know what the rich do when they get together. You know what this is? Social stratification? I hope I'm using the right terminology, but you know what I mean. I see you, Mr. Zuckerberg. You know this is all your fault, and you must pay. The whole Illuminati must pay. Bonus reason, it's boring. At school, I take music as an elective, and half the time it's fine and dandy. That's because we just play instruments and do all that stuff. But the other half is theory. So, music theory. Worst thing on planet Earth since Ebola. When you spend more than a trillionth of a second thinking about it, you realize it's actually dampening the musical scene. The whole point of music is to be accessible and be something that we can play together, sing together, listen to together. It's not something we know, it's something we feel. But by turning it into a science, not only have you just made it convoluted for no good reason, but you've actually ruined the purpose of it. It's meant to convey the deepest recesses of our mind and soul, not just our mind. While I agree that science is extremely important and has its place in our world, music is meant to be a form of art. You can try and turn it into a bunch of guidelines and rules, and it might be listenable, but it won't be authentic. And that's what keeps us coming for seconds. See, music theory ruins everything. The musicians suffer and the listeners suffer. Nobody wins. It's lose-lose. So Patrick, if you're watching this from down below, I just want to let you know that we're moving on from your haberdashery. The end.